Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Everything Dodgeball podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Leitinger. And today I'm here with Mr. Jonny Hill. He's the younger, maybe slightly smaller, but maybe slightly heavier of the Hill brothers. You've known him, you've seen him, and he's been the recent Euros MVP in the men's division, if I'm not mistaken. So, welcome to the show. It's been long overdue. How are you, Jonny?
Hi, Stefan. Yeah, good to be here. Getting it out of the way quickly. Calling me Adam.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
a really bad thing with names, so it's really nothing personal, but I'm gonna try to do better. So, one of the Hill brothers is here.
Don't worry.
Introduce yourself, Jonny.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. So I'm Jonny Hill, very commonly known in the dodgeball scene as Adam Hill's younger brother. I think I've heard some stories of some people who just don't even call me by my name. I'm just Baby Hill or Little Hill or something like that. My name's Jonny. Hi, guys.
Hi,
Uh,
Jonny. Good to
yeah,
have you.
good to be here.
Awesome. So, um, take me a little bit back. What's like your sporting background, and how did you get into dodgeball, and how did it come that you got to be one of the best Hill brothers out there?
Sure. So I started kind of good proper sport back when I was about 16 or 15 or so. When I started doing athletics when I was at school. Also something that Adam started before me. But I got into athletics. I was primarily a long jumper. Um, so I'd done quite a lot of rigorous training throughout the ages 16, 17 up to like 20-ish, 21. So you could say I was sort of sporty. And then one day, Adam said to me, "Hey, Jonny, you're kind of sporty. Do you want to come play in this dodgeball competition this Saturday? We need people." Um, of course, up to that point, I'd heard of Adam playing dodgeball before, and I laughed at him and told him that he was a loser for playing a weird sport. Um, but yeah, so I was like, sure, I'm not doing anything this Saturday. I'll go to play some dodgeball, see what it's like. Um, I went to the Friday night training at Queen's University in Belfast the night before to see how it goes. This training is on like dojo mats, like
Ooh, that's
indoor
nice.
mats. So you have to take your shoes off, you play in your socks, your feet. And I broke my toe
Ah,
on the
man.
first session. Um, Thought it was okay, played anyway. Then went on Saturday and played anyway and got absolutely toasted, of course. But had a good time. Found out later that I'd broken my toe. Kept playing anyway. Um, yeah,
I
I
think that's
guess.
the first. I think I've heard a lot of stories where you broke your finger in the first session and went back, and that's where you really found out those are going to be the long time dodgeballers. But breaking your toe, that's a new one. Good on you. But dojo mats, sounds on the one side really nice. You don't need knee pads or anything, and it's like probably for jumping and landing really cool. But playing
Mhm.
in socks dodgeball is just not good for your feet, anyways, right?
No, those mats have claimed many, many phalanges, many bones, mostly toes. The odd ankle
Okay,
been claimed by those mats, but it's
I believe that.
part of our glow up in dodgeball. Everyone has to start there.
Absolutely. Okay, so you found out about dodgeball, the weird hobby. Looking back on it, which one's the weird sport now? Long jump or dodgeball?
Oh, it's still dodgeball,
Still
easily.
dodgeball. Fair enough. Fair
You,
enough.
you
I
look
think,
you look weird doing them both, but
yeah, I
I
think they're.
came like yeah, I came to accept a long time ago when doing athletics training that like you look silly. And like some of the exercises you do, they're very specific to target certain muscles, warm up muscles in very specific ways. And if someone's looking at you from the outside, they will laugh at you. There are funny pictures of me doing funny stretches warming up, and like out of context, I just look like a silly man. But yeah, I grew to accept that. So maybe dodgeball was always on the cards.
That's definitely good. So looking silly is not a problem for you. That is definitely something that you need as a dodgeballer. Breaking bones, also not a problem. So basically, love at first sight. So after that first tournament where you got smoked, where did you go from there?
Yeah, so I basically joined the Queen's Dodgeball Club that I played for on that Saturday. It was training 3 times a week. It was Monday nights, Wednesday afternoons, and Friday nights. Two of those, the Wednesday and the Fridays, was on the dojo mats. So for about 3 years, I think I played for the Queens, and I was every day. It was like, when's dodgeball? And it was good because three trainings a week. It was either I get to play dodgeball today, yay, or I get to play dodgeball tomorrow.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of dodgeball training, and I remember loving it. Also, I was at uni at the time and at Queens, so it was right beside me. So all through my third, fourth, and fifth year of uni, I just went to Queens dodgeball and played dodgeball. Um, it was loads of fun. It was great. A bunch of people moved on from it to form the Ballyhack Dodgeball Club that we know today. But I stuck around at that time, and I ran the club as president for 1 year, along with my now sister-in-law Shannon, who was the vice president, I think, at that time. So we basically ran that club for the year and did our best, and then said, "Peace out. We're off to Ballyhack as well. Bye, guys." Yeah. So then I've been a Ballyhack in ever since. It's been 6 years or something now. Been a lot.
Okay. And when did you like start training for the Knights as well, or playing for Northern Ireland?
I think it was probably my third year of dodgeball. I think is when I really started. Actually, was it? Maybe it was my second year. I think it was 20. No, I watched the dodgeball in 2016. Maybe I tried to join in 2017.
Okay, for Scotland.
Um, no, wait, no, I've got those dates messed up. I've got those dates really messed up.
So I think 17 was Scotland and 16
So
was French or France, or
no, I
the
thought
other way around.
so. I think I must have missed 17. I might have watched some of 2017, but then I tried to join in 2018, and that led me to my first international competition, which I think was Italy in
Italy, yeah.
2018, Lignano Sabbiadoro,
Yeah.
which was, yeah, that was my first competition.
Okay.
Now I remember, yeah.
All right. So you basically joined and I sort of when they started their rise after. Did you go to Worlds in 2018 or afterwards?
No, I didn't
Okay.
make it to that one. I wasn't in the, I hadn't joined long enough to be fair, so it's understandable. But
Okay. All
yeah,
right. So, and from there, never looked back. Do you still do some athletics around that, or what else do you do sports wise?
yeah, never look back. That's for sure. I kept up the athletics and the long jump for quite a long time. It has taken a sort of a back seat in the last year or two. It has sort of filtered off a little bit. I had many conversations with my athletics coach about how dodgeball was becoming my main sport ahead of athletics. It took a while for me to actually say like this is going to be my main sport, to admit that, but yeah, it's so I kept it up for quite a while. The long jump. I think I peaked in university, to be honest. Um, and like I'd been chasing some good long jump distances, some good personal bests for a while. Um, and I finally got one I was happy with. I'm happy with my PB to this day,
What
but
is it?
it's 7 meters 17 centimeters,
Okay,
which
then that's far.
I have done once and once only. But it was when I broke the 7 meter mark,
Yeah.
which was a big deal for me at the time. I've never broken it again since then. Maybe my body's just not keeping up. Maybe I'm too
Ah,
old for
you've
this now.
broken
I
a
need
toe.
have to move on to a more mature sport like dodgeball.
Fair. So, just for reference, for people who have no idea about long jump, like me, what's like the world record?
The world record is an astounding 8 meters 95,
8 meters 95. Okay,
which is
so
massive.
that's really massive. Okay, and what's the NI record?
Oof, it might be like 799. I'm not
Okay,
sure if it's broken 8 or
so,
not.
so do you
But
think you would have had a chance to somewhat do that more professional, or was that never an option for you? It was always just a fun
no,
thing.
I don't think I hit the same level
Yeah.
in terms of like national standings for that for long jump. It was a lot of fun, and sometimes I showed some promise, but it didn't quite take off. No pun intended. On in terms of like winning competitions and medals and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair. So you peaked at university in long jump. When would you say, did you already peak in dodgeball or is that still ahead? You've turned
Oof.
30 now, right?
Lord knows. Yes. Yeah. I turned 30 like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Welcome to your prime.
I know, right? I hope so. I don't know if I've peaked in dodgeball. Something I can say. I know that there's performances in the past I've been very happy with, and some performances, you'd be less happy with. But it's the thing with a sport. Who knows
Yeah.
when you stop? When, like, what is the peak of the sport? What are the best players ever going to do? What am I ever going to do? Stuff like that. All I know is that I don't want to stop playing dodgeball. I know some people talk about, maybe this will be my last competition, maybe this, maybe that. I I don't see myself stopping until you have to drag my broken body off the court.
All right. That
Yeah,
sounds like a real dodgeballer. So from the first day till the last, till something breaks that won't snap back in place. That sounds
yeah.
good. So let's talk a little bit about one of your peaks, Euros, um,
Mhm.
in Ireland last year, basically. Talk me a little bit about that tournament, how it went for you, what you have still like emotional when you look back at that one.
Yeah. So Limerick 2025 was a very big tournament for me in many ways. Obviously, we won 2 gold medals. I was lucky enough to be nominated for the MVP. Thank you. Um, so that's the obvious stuff.
Mm,
A lot of people maybe don't know that after World Championships in Graz, our management team in Northern Ireland Knights stepped away, and we had to fill in with a new team, and I took on the role of head coach. So this was my first competition as the head coach of the Northern Ireland Knights. So I had a lot going on in my head across all 3 divisions. What, like, trying to help with lineups, trying to help with game plans in men's, women's, and mixed, and general management things that a lot of people maybe don't know goes on behind the scenes. Um, Sometimes staying up later than you'd want to be staying up, thinking about schedules and who needs to be where at what times. Um, so that tournament as a whole was a big one, a stressful one.
mm,
I'm just extremely happy that we pulled through and got some good results. I have to think about all 3 divisions as well. I know a ladies team had a slightly underwhelming performance, we could say, but I have to be, as head coach, I have to be just as focused on trying to help them push forward and get back to the high level standings that they want to be at. Um, so yeah, there was a lot going on at Euros 2025 for me. Um, Very happy with how it all came together. No big disasters, and some really nice achievements of it.
absolutely. So are you still in that role of general manager or did you step away at the top?
No, I'm still the head coach. Yeah, which means I have fingers in many pies, but I do try
Okay.
to leave stuff. We do have men's coaches, women's coach, and mixed coaches as well, and I try to leave most of it to them if possible.
Okay,
But I'll
perfect.
step in when I need to step in.
Good. So from Limerick, where you basically went to the top of Europe again, obviously, Worlds is a big topic in Northern Ireland. Then we thought about where we would go next. And Saudi Arabia, there was sort of a discussion whether you would join or not, maybe not. And then now we're going to Bangkok. So, what's the plan for the Knights for this year's Worlds?
Well, the obvious answer would be we all want to win worlds. I think
Mm,
everybody, any nation's going to answer that question. Um, we are we are thinking about it quite a lot. I know myself, I'm having some conversations with some very passionate guys within nights. We know that this is probably going to be the hardest competition we've ever played. There's a huge amount of notice towards this. Like we almost have a whole year, maybe 10, 11 months of preparation time for this competition, which means that every nation that's going is going to be so ready and so prepared. And to be honest, we have to imagine that we're going to be looked at as a target quite a lot, due to our European success at least. Um, we got good performances, of course, at the last World Championships. We didn't make it to we made it to one final. We didn't make it to two other finals. So people will probably look, if we look at those competitions and think these guys are totally beatable, we can be the ones to do that. And it'll be really interesting to see what teams outside of the European space, who we see and play against more often, outside of Europe, who are going to really push and challenge. Because I think it's going to be a massive competition, and there's going to be so many big hitting teams. It's going to be hard. We'll have to do our homework.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to when we get some more information which teams are going to join and how any more specifics about the whole thing. All right, so let's leave that on the horizon for another day, and let's get from one high competition to another high competition. We just been in Paris last week. What do you think about UDO? I think it was your first experience there, right?
Yes, that was my first UDO. It was tremendous. It was very good. If you think about that, it's a club competition. It's run by clubs, and it's run by the Lycon Club, I believe, and they have been running it for a fair few years now, and it's got pretty big, and they're still putting in such a fantastically run event. Like it was very good in my opinion. I had a wonderful time. I hope that everyone else there had a wonderful time. We didn't have like big delays or refing mishaps or any like messages at midnight being like, "Oh, such and such has changed. Beware for the next day." Like honestly, it was really tremendous, like a benchmark for how club competitions should be run across the world. Like it was really good.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely second that. Have you been to any other club competitions outside of the UK before?
No, I believe that was my first one outside of the UK,
Okay,
and it was great.
so compared to the ones you have in the UK, obviously like your league or your opens in England, like where does this stand, the UDO, on the one side organization wide and like the whole vibes, but also on a competitive side? How did you feel about that?
Um, it's definitely a much stronger level of overall, like I say competition, but also just people's passion for dodgeball at that event is very high. Maybe a little higher than you get if you're staying at a local NI or UK competition. Like if you're going to travel to Paris to play from all sorts of places in the world, you're going to love dodgeball. So everyone there really wanted to be there, really loved it, and was like, "These are my minutes. I'm going to maximize and enjoy every minute that I get." Um, Sometimes you maybe don't get just quite the passion and the pride at local competitions. Maybe that's something that could be improved, but something that I definitely come away from UDO feeling was, boy, everyone loved dodgeball there.
Mm.
It was amazing.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. So I think it's so beautiful how they really managed to get like sort of the whole club involved, all the parents and stuff that are
Hmm.
pitching in, and
The
from the
dancing.
yeah, the dancing, the organization, the buffet, everything is done like with so much, it seems like so much enthusiasm and love, and it seems like they really enjoy hosting it, and they really enjoy if you come to their tournament, so it feels just really welcoming. And also, as you said, the tournament is run really smoothly, and the venue is really good, and the competition this year was definitely one of the best I've ever experienced. I think it was like from the group stages to knockouts, it was probably higher than Euros or Worlds from an overall perspective. Maybe like on the top there would be a little bit difference, but like the breadth of or the width of quality was really good. So there were really few very easy games basically, and that is not something that you're used to in tournaments that big, at least from my experience, which is cool.
Yeah, very cool. Very
And
good.
you also enjoyed playing only one division, which is quite
Oh,
nice because we had 30 minutes in the groups and a few tough games there, and then 40 minutes from knockouts. So how did you enjoy just playing that one division at
oh yeah.
UDO?
It's been the first time I've only played one division in a while, and it was nice. It was nice knowing that there was breaks in recovery time. I've uh I've had a bit of general illness in recent weeks and months, maybe, to be honest.
Mm,
And it's kind of, I feel like it's got my fitness down. It's got my I'm trying to come back from it as best I can. So it was nice knowing that I could have time to get myself back on my feet, get my breath back in between games and sessions, and I could just sit and honestly just watch
yeah,
what was going on in the hall a lot of the time. The seating arrangement was great. All the courts were visible. Um, it was nice to not be super stressed all the time, thinking, "Oh, I gotta go into this game next." Um, that being said, I love dodgeball, so like I love being on. I do like being on the court more
yeah,
than I like being off the court, but you know,
yeah,
sometimes it's
definitely. I
nice
think
to strike a balance.
it's a fine balance because last year was also where only played men's, and it was even shorter time slots back then, and we had more people. But it was really enjoyable from like a social perspective, and also the vibes there were great, and it was fun just connecting with people and watching some dodgeball. This year, obviously, played both divisions and had very few substitutes, so it was basically just dodgeball, dodgeball, revving, coaching, dodgeball, dodgeball, which is also just great. So it's really tough to find a balance. And after day two, I woke up and was like, "Ah, fuck, I don't think I'm gonna do this again next year." And after day three, I was like, "Oh, I'm definitely gonna do it like this
Yeah.
next year again." So I don't know where the balance lies, to be honest. But I think at UDO, that's a place where both things are fine because it's just a nice event full of dodgeball loving people, and if you have some time you can chat with someone who likes to chat about dodgeball, and you've got a buffet, you've got nice weather the last two times, so it's just an overall enjoyous experience, and you get to play dodgeball. So just wanted to know how you felt about that, just playing one division, but because it's something we older guys, and you're starting to become one of us, always talk about, where we're like, how we want to play double, how we're just gonna play single after this, and then we're gonna double again. So I don't know where the balance lies, to be honest. So yeah.
Let's be
Um
honest, we're all just gonna play double. You
exactly.
give us the option, you're gonna play double in the end.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I talked to some US guys and they all want to play triple and quadruple now. And since I've heard about those tournaments like API or even nationals, I think in the US, where they play cloth men's and mixed and foam men's and mixed, that is just, I thought that's where I would draw the line, because doubling foam and cloth and then both divisions, that's just ridiculous. And I think that was something that my body wouldn't be able to sustain, and I think lots of players don't sustain it for a long time, but apparently it's possible for a weekend. But I don't even want to know how you feel after day two when you wake up in the morning and someone has to lift you out of bed. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you think, oh
uh,
boy, I've got 6 games today. Ooh, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
Could
yeah, it
do
was even at UDA. Oh, it was 5 games on the first day, all 30-minute matches. And
Yeah.
as I said, there weren't really easy ones. So you had to really play for all of them. And then there was at least one or two where you really had to play. So after day one, I was like, whew, this is gonna be
Mhm.
definitely a tough one. And then your body adapts, and you sort of, once you're on the court and the adrenaline kicks in for some reason, it works.
Oh yeah.
I'm always amazed how the body does that, but it does. So speaking about UDO, obviously great tournament. One thing I definitely wanted to get into with you as well was like the Anarchy experience. So how did you end up playing for Anarchy? How did that whole process work out? I know that like Adam and Smurf already played for nationals, I think, for them in the US. So talk to me a little bit about that process, how Armando reached out, how you became a professional dodgeball player.
Sure. Yeah. This is so once again, story of my life in dodgeball. Adam seems to get things first. Um, yeah, Adam and Murphy and I believe Josh were invited to go to nationals as part of Anarchy. I think they must have made friends with them at the recent World Cup to that point. Um, as part of when they went to as part of GB, I think they
Mm.
made friends. I wasn't included in that, but that was fine. So it was just okay. But so Adam and Smith went over and they did fine. I watched them; they were
Well,
okay. Adam and Smith, obviously, I watched
decent,
them judgmentally,
obviously,
um,
as you should.
as I should. Yeah, of course. Can never be nice to Adam.
No,
Murphy's great. That Adam guy,
yeah,
he's fine.
obviously, everyone likes Murphy, but no one likes Adam. Let's be
Yeah,
honest about
nice,
this.
nice. I'm glad we agree.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so they were planning the 2026 season, and I think shout outs to Josh. I think he was the guy who was like, "Hey, you should go find Adam's brother, Johnny, and get him in." I think it was as simple as that. I think it was just a recommendation from Josh, and Armando reached out to me and said, "Would you like to join in?" We've already got these three guys from Northern Ireland involved, and I was, of course, super more dodgeball generally, and the opportunity to, as you say, work with people who want to try to bring dodgeball up a gear from being completely amateur and completely grassroots to try to provide some measure of professionalism into it as like a first step. And I think it's been really positive, and he's taken very Armando in particular has taken very positive steps towards it. Yeah. So we went to UDO, so first representation together. First time I'd met a bunch of these guys in person. The Anarchy guys are all a hoot, a delight. Um, we all hit it off immediately. It was great. Obviously, it's easy to hit it off with people when you have a massive shared interest in dodgeball. Um, I was keen at some point to sit down and talk dodgeball for hours and hours with people who live on the other end of the planet to me and also can talk dodgeball for hours and hours. So it was really great to do that. We had lots of fun getting to know these guys. Um, yeah, we obviously played on court together as well. There's a blending of different styles and different ideals there. It presented the odd challenge, of course, blending together two different two different mindsets, some similarities, some differences, but we pulled through. We've got some things to talk about and work on for future events, and I'm looking forward to playing with these guys again.
Mm. So talk me a little bit about through that process, because you're obviously coming from a complete different sort of background where you're used to playing with your group of dodgeball guys, your teams really regularly, living basically in the same town and having like a lot of contact and a lot of overlaps, and then playing for a team that you've never played before. Obviously, there are three players. Let's be honest, two players, because Josh was basically a golden retriever. But so let's we gotta be real about things. So no, so you obviously knew half the team that you played with, which is obviously makes it much easier, but then you had to blend in those different ways of playing dodgeball. So how did you try to make that work during the tournament without having any training sessions together?
Yeah. Honestly, we just talked and tried to communicate as much as possible about it. Um, at the end of the day, it is the Anarchy team. So the Anarchy guys we were like mostly in control of what was going on. We would say what we offered or what we like to happen on court, like to see on court. Obviously, they've watched plenty of our videos. They've played with Adam and Smurf before, so they sort of built a game plan around what having some NI guys on court and then having some Anarchy guys on court. And honestly, we listened to what they said and tried to do our best to to implement it. It wasn't like the most challenging disruption to NI game plan. Like
Mm.
we had Adam Smith and myself standing in our normal positions at the
Yeah.
normal side of the court. So like there was the intention there to keep the NI familiarity strong, and then the other side of the court was more of an anarchy blend, which was really good. Um, yeah, we tried to just offer our strengths to that team and say we will do this for you, we will do that for you. And if they were to say we would like X, Y, and Z to happen, we would do our best to do that where we can.
Okay. So basically, you just try to blend into that team and do your job. Would you say that's a fair assessment, or like how much did you guys? Because you obviously have a lot of experience in the cloth game, a lot of tactical experience as well on that team. So how much did you make use of that side of the NI players?
Um, I would say definitely a lot. I know our primary calling still came from the same source that it does in Northern Ireland.
Mm.
We let Adam run that while he was on court, um, which is really good. Like obviously that felt comfortable for Smurf and I. We're right next to him, listening to the voice we always listen to, and we did our best to relay that over to Anarchy guys on the other side of the court. Like there's the common things of when teams come together of just simply calling system
Mm.
differences. But we tried our best to talk about that beforehand, before the games, and say, look, this is if we wanted to execute this play because we agree that this is a good play, we will say we will try and say this, or we'll try and say that. Um, no, it felt like it blended together very well. It could have been a lot worse. There could have been a lot of miscommunication, but I think we prepared for it pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. At least it looked that way. So coming from that tournament, and what are you trying to till Mexico and obviously Vienna calling, and then I think nationals is the fourth tournament that you guys are gonna go.
Yeah. So the future is hopefully to build on what we started at UDO. This is my UDO was obviously my first go,
Mm.
so Mexico is going to be my second go with these guys. I'm really hoping that we can take how we blended styles together at UDO and make it into one style rather than being a mix of anarchy and NI. Just make it NIarchy.
Mhm. Nice.
Um, that's Adam's pun, not mine. I stole it. Um, yeah, I can't. It's going to be a incredible tournament, Mexico. I'm sure. Um, massive games from start to finish. We would like to think that we'll find that style pretty quickly, and we'll execute how we'd like to execute all six players on court at a time. Yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic about everything. So, um, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think we'll put on a good show at least.
Definitely. So let's talk a little bit about that professional dodgeball player. So I think it's the first time, at least what I know, that we have people being paid to play dodgeball, at least in Europe. I know in Asia there are some parts of the country or in the world where there's sort of something similar going on, but definitely for Europe, it's something completely new. So like on the one hand, tell me about how that is for you, being not having to pay for dodgeball and actually getting something in return, which must be nice, and also like the reception from the European community. Did you get any feedbacks, vibes, or something regarding that topic?
Sure. Okay. So the big part, the big initial part that most people ask when I tell strangers about if I'm going to play dodgeball or people I work with or co-workers is like, how do you get there? Do you have to pay for this? Do people pay for your flights, your accommodation, or whatnot? And obviously, very normally the answer is no, and that shocks people. Um, so, so the big thing, honestly, that Anarchy and Armando himself have offered to us is the payment of travel and accommodation. That's the big thing that most people would struggle with, honestly, when they want to attend dodgeball competitions or any competitions of that nature. And I think that's the real enabler that Armando is trying to nail off first here in the step towards professionalism is we've got these talented dodgeballers who want to go and play dodgeball, and we don't want travel costs to be an obstacle. Just I want you to say, "Hi, Johnny, can you come play at this dodgeball competition?" And I say yes. I think that's what the first step of this is, and so that was so travel and accommodation was offered to us, included to us, as part of the Anarchy agreement. It was That's obviously tremendously generous. Like we're not even involved in that. They've booked our flights and they've booked our hotels for us. We just show up and do what we're told. Yeah. And that goes for all the competitions that we are representing Anarchy in. So we're going all the way to Mexico, and it's like it really helps us to just say, as long as I can get the time off work, just say, yeah, I will
Mm.
be there. You want me to be there to play this sport, to represent Anarchy, I will be there and I will do my best. And it's a wonderful state to be in. Like it's tremendously generous, of course. And I think all the NI guys and of course all the Anarchy guys are very appreciative of that. Then there's the other side of it, which gets asked a lot more questions about, is that we've been given terms of there's a stipend given to us for attending of $1,000, and then there was also an additional $1,000 if you won the competition.
Mm.
So that is tremendously generous, in my opinion. But it gives you that feeling of like, I can take time off, I can go to this competition without worry, without concern, and then if I deliver and do my best and succeed in winning the competition, then there's even more. So it's, in my opinion, it's all about trying to enable dodgeballers to go and play the best dodgeball as much as possible without those life constraints, mostly of money and planning and work in the way. So, I mean, later on in this year, I think I have to, like, I don't have a huge amount of annual leave at my job. I have to take just unpaid time off in order to attend some competitions, and like knowing that knowing that Armando has been so generous as part of this Anarchy agreement, like I know that I'll be financially okay, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
absolutely. I mean, that's definitely, I think that is such an important step for dodgeball, and such a huge deal actually, because we're actually talking about a bit of money, and that's not life-changing money or by anything, but it's something where you actually get value for the work you've put in and for the value that you have as a dodgeball player, which is something that lots of people really want in this community, and they want to go see the sport become more professional, go to the Olympics and see the sport progress in that direction, but it's something that's always seemed quite far off. So we had a few tournaments where you get some sort of prize money, which is also not even probably covering costs, and especially as you have more of those international club tournaments where like the price to attend one is quite steep for many people, and it's definitely a burden. And to maybe have that as a first step to maybe something that can be a thing in the future, where you can maybe attend tournaments just because you're a good dodgeball player and not because you can afford to go to Paris for a weekend. I think that's actually a really, really cool step, and all the props to Armando for really putting his own money into dodgeball and trying to progress it his ways. And obviously, he might not be the best deal maker because he would have gotten you for way cheaper, or maybe even better players for less money. So don't know what that is about.
Who could that be?
Ah,
Yeah.
I've listened to some English chaps who think they would
Mhm.
have gone for 20 quid. But still, so I personally think that is really an amazing step. And but I know, like in a community like Dodgeball, where everyone knows that you have to put up your own money, that you put up your own spare time, your free time, your family time, everything, put it into the job. It can also be like a point of a little bit contention. So how do you feel like it's been received by the dodgeball community, and did you get any like vibes or feedback back on that point?
Um, so there's been a lot of people have asked the questions about a lot. It's like, is it true that you're getting paid to be here, X, Y, Z? And generally, yes, that is true. I got that question a couple of times at UDO for sure. Myself, I don't think I felt a real vibe change from most people. I'm sure that at some point during the competition, there were team talks between our opponents saying, "Hey, these guys are paid to be here. Let's go whack them and show them that it's not like the money isn't all that. It doesn't mean that you're going to win." Um, which is like that breeds competition in a
Yeah.
way, which is good. And like there was a small amount maybe of like being the villain sort of
Mhm.
vibe for once, which I've not really felt before too much.
Yeah.
Um, but like cool. Like I'm down for you to call me the villain and for you to be like, oh, these are the guys who come here who've got money to come here. Let's go. Let's go put them in their place. Let's go beat them. I'm like, yeah, come on, show me on court how you feel about this. Um, I think it breeds the challenge and a new sort of dynamic in a competition where we haven't had that sort of dynamic before. So I loved it. It was nice to if people did use it as a drive to compete harder against us, I'm like, please, by all means, keep doing that. I love it. It was I love it when people are riled up to beat you. It's great.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's definitely the positive thing, and like that's how it should be. If the first ones get paid, you definitely want to like show that you're also in that spot, and do you deserve the money maybe as well, and you obviously take that as fuel, and I think that is awesome. So, and obviously, probably a little bit of petty jealousy is just a usual part as well. That is unavoidable and also just part of the process. But I think it's cool that it's mainly positive in that way. And obviously, behind the backs, maybe there were some talks by me in a hot tub with someone that is definitely deserving for Josh to get money for his appearance. But then again, I saw him in the final and he made a catch and then his retrieving was point on. So fair enough.
The world's
He
most expensive ball retriever.
absolutely. And the amount of pay per set played is just yeah, it's something to look up to and something where you go like, one day I hope this is gonna be me, just with less good hair probably. But what can you do? But apart from that, I think also it like sparks the competition as well. And obviously you've been a little bit more of the villain. You were just lucky to play against the Barbarians in the final, so it wasn't too much of a villainous experience after that. Um, maybe a little bit about that point, like there was a bit of money at play. Was that some extra pressure that was good, that was bad, that was exciting to know that you not just playing for glory and fame, but also like having that bit of financial motivation, which makes it even more spicy?
Yeah, so this is something that I've thought about in the past. Like, what if there is prize money on dodgeball? I know this was just for our club at this point, but like, if even if the UDO had a cash prize for any teams that won, I've thought about how dodgeball would react to that
Mhm.
as a community, and um, Personally, I thought it was great. I felt it kind of quite easy to look past when I'm on court playing, say, the final. Like, I don't know if I do it intentionally, but I find that I'm very much just the barriers of this court is all that exists to me. These 12 players, like, I don't know what the crowd's doing. I don't know how many people are there. I don't know who's watching on a live stream online. And I don't know, I'm not thinking about what happens if I win. I'm thinking about how do I get there. So I don't know if I've done that intentionally, but I don't think when I was on court at any time I thought to myself, oh, there's money on the line. I better make this hit. It was more, I want to win the game. I better make this hit. Or Adam has finally told me to throw. I better make this hit. Um, so personally, no, it felt just like dodgeball to me. Um, and I hope it felt just like dodgeball to most other people, to be honest, or they're using it as a positive drive. Yeah.
Okay, so you've, as you said, thought about when money gets involved into dodgeball. Like, what are your thoughts about not just being paid to play, because that is something different in my opinion, but like prize money, like the one we have for Mexico, where it's not that much of a deal for you guys, but like still just generally in dodgeball, what do you think would happen if there was prizes on UDO or something like that?
Well, there's a couple of avenues of thought that I can go down. The really positive ones are, and I think this is what Armando's really wanting and pushing Mexico to do, is when there's prize money on an event, and particularly when that event can be seen either on TV or online or in person, people will watch it more.
Mhm.
Like if the title of the stream is X amount of prize money dodgeball match, people will watch it who have never watched dodgeball before because sums of money are eye catching. So there's that positive impact in that it ups the stakes for not only the players involved but for people watching, and increasing viewership, increasing awareness of dodgeball in any scene, whether citywide or internationally wide, is a good thing. Massively good thing for us. And I know that's something that Armando in particular has been thinking a lot about for this Mexico competition, is how do we keep the viewership up? How do we get it up? How do we keep it up? I know viewer numbers matter. So if you're listening to this, make sure you tune into Mexico and keep it on.
Absolutely.
Keep that stream on. So that's the positive one, and I'm really hoping that it helps and it ignites a lot more viewership than in the past. Then, if I think about the other parts of prize money, is that all I can say is that I hope the very high level of sportsmanship that we have in the competition stays that way.
Mhm.
Because pretty much all of my dodgeball life and everyone that I've ever met in dodgeball, it's just been, you're here because you love it, because you love playing the game. And if you win, you get the pride of winning and you get to celebrate with your team and your squad and you get to stand on the podium and get your trophy. And there's been nothing more than that to it. And I just really hope that the excellent reputation that dodgeballers have in terms of integrity and sportsmanship stays that high. That's my real hidden dream.
Mhm.
I want to see dodgeball stay immaculate the way it is, um, and it's on the players to do that. And I hope that we will.
Mhm.
Like, we're here because we love the game.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more. So on that point, maybe let's elaborate a little bit, like from UDO and also like, for example, the final, where um, there is just glory for most of the people involved, but like that is the most competitive side of dodgeball that you're basically gonna get. And how do you feel about the balance on the one side? How did you feel about the fair play, the atmosphere, and stuff like that throughout the whole tournament? And then also like the refing situation. How did you as a player, like your semifinal in particular, but also the final, how did you experience that um, from the way refing is done currently? And also from fair play, from the amount of emotions allowed on the court? Give me your 2 cents on that.
Yeah, that's a big topic.
We have a few more minutes.
So the big thing about UDO is that obviously it was all self-refereed. All of the referees, head refs, line refs, assistant refs, were all delivered by clubs for every game. No one there was being like hired to be a referee or is a dedicated referee, as far as I was aware.
Mm.
So that does up the challenge for the competition as a whole in terms of refereeing. One thing is you might have a consistency issue from one match to the next, where one set of referees referee one way and another set of referees referee another way, and that just happens. Like in competitions of this nature, the way dodgeball is, the way you have to deliver your own referees, you have to run yourself your own competition. That's the way it goes, and it's a challenge that we have to overcome. I know there was a particular match, I think it was yourselves, playing against the Barbarians, where there was a tremendous amount of cards given out. Now, I didn't get to witness all of the game, but like I am one to say that I think cards should be given out much more often. I think that people get away with stuff a lot across the whole European scene. A warning is fine. I'm glad, like, people should give warnings, but to some degree, if you listen to the warning and then you make the mistake again, like, you shouldn't be nice. The cards need to be given, or over a long-term amount of time, behavior will potentially decline. Even some as simple as talking back to referees. Some referees will listen to you, and they probably shouldn't.
Mm.
The referee should probably make the call and then close their ears to whatever you respond and just point to the outbox and tell you to go out. And like, if you look at other sports, the one I compare it to all the time is European rugby. The referees on a European rugby pitch are totally in control. If a player is upset about a call and they were to go and talk to the referee about it, they would just put you in the sin bin. They'd be like, "Get out of here! No, not on my pitch are you doing this." And to some degree, I would like a level, not to be mean or to be like really, really strict, but just to clamp down on some of the how to put it, like, refereeing influence that players on the court can do.
Mm.
And it's unfortunate. People get emotional on the court. Like, it happens. People, passions are running high. You can get upset when you get hit, and you're upset at yourself or you're shocked or something. That's fine. And you have to balance that and manage that. But there's maybe some things that some players get away with that maybe they shouldn't. And the different referees will definitely different styles. But I would be of an opinion that if the referee is confident in the call, which they should be before they make a call, it doesn't change. The player needs to exit or do whatever they did. If they've made a block or they made a catch or whatever happened. That's probably my opinion, number one. My other opinion would be that stoppages need to be way, way, way shorter. They need an upper time limit, like 60 seconds.
Yeah.
At some point, you just make a decision between the referees and go on. And if you're really struggling to come to one, you got to just pick a middle ground and maybe even explain to the players, look, we got to make this decision and move on. We got to play. Yeah, probably like and another example would maybe be, see those when referees come in for the huddle for 60 seconds, players can't be involved, in my opinion, at all. Even captains who walk up and listen, get out. You're not. If a referee needs to tell you something, they'll come to you and talk to you.
Mm.
Don't you go to the referees when they're in a huddle, because they're talking, they're busy, and they're trying to make sure this stoppage is as short as possible. So that's one of my opinions. Will it happen? Does it happen? Am I just waffling because I do that a lot? Yeah, but I would like to see it be more. Everyone kept more in line and understand that the referees are there to ensure the game runs as smoothly as possible. And as a player on the court, you should be trying to help the game run as smoothly as possible.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, so I think there are a lot of little points, and I have also probably a few opinions on those. So maybe get in a few specifics, because I think the few things that pretty much everyone would agree on is that we want as few stoppages as
Mm-hmm.
possible. I think we want a game to be as smooth as possible and as controlled as possible. I think every player wants that, every spectator wants that, and every ref wants that. The problems there is that on the one side, like let's say, especially for UDO, we didn't have designated refs.
Mm-hmm.
So the quality of refing was very, I would say, it was just very different from game to game.
Yep.
And then also, like, people come from different backgrounds, different countries, different rule sets. No one knows exactly what the rule set for UDO is. And then there are lots of opinions. And
Mm-hmm.
also sometimes the refs don't know the rules. And so it's really tough to just give them the power to just say, do as I say, because they sometimes say stuff that's not right. And so you have to sometimes talk back as a coach, as a captain. But the thing is to differentiate between times when players can talk and times when players cannot talk are not, they may be defined, but they're not really defined in the heads of dodgeball players and dodgeball refs alike. And so there is so much uncertainty around this that it just leaves too many open rooms for chaos to ensue. And then it's really about the personality of the ref. How can he control the game, his authority on the team that is playing, and also the mentality and characters of the players as well. And so sometimes, like, let's talk, for example, about that Barbarians play game, which I think was a game that got a little bit away from the refs, and they tried to pull it back with cards, with being strict and enforcing it through cards. But the problem is that there were so many characters with lots of opinions on the field, and there were lots of very seasoned players who all have their opinion. And so it was really tough for the refs, which were very experienced players themselves, but it was still quite tough to like keep the nerves calm in some situations. And then there was some back and forth that might have been absolutely rightly there, and there were there were also lots of pointing and talking which was absolutely out of place. And so to distinguish between those things is then gets really hard. And because I think in a perfect world, at least for me personally, um I would like it to be refed where the refs have to say as little as possible, where the game is basically refed by itself. The outs are taken, the hits and stuff, and refs are there to enforce time, to enforce pace of play, to enforce stuff where no one knows what just happened, to enforce situations where you just can't know as a player what just happened, to enforce the lines and stuff like that. And still, so much goes on that it's sometimes just hard, and sometimes just decisions have to be made by the refs to ensure those things. But I think it's not good to give too much power to the refs, where the refs have the feel like they have to make every decision, like outs, telling people that they're hit, telling people that whatever happened. If the game runs smoothly, then that is not necessary. And that would make the refs' jobs much easier, and also the pace of play way better. If we don't have to discuss of whether this was a hit or not, that's something we just don't want to talk about. And that's not something where we're going to go in a huddle and six refs are like, I didn't see it. I saw from my side, it looked like a block. From my side, it looked like a hit. And then you're in the middle with three different opinions. And as I said often before, no one sees shit. And sometimes you see stuff good and sometimes you don't. But if you talk about it for 10 seconds, you have no idea what happened. And then you have to make a decision. And the decision is always a bad one, a right one, or a wrong one. No one cares, but it takes time for that, and that's something we need to stop. If it's not clear whether it was a hit or not, then it either one ref is like, I saw it 100%, and then we accept it, or if no one saw it, then we sort of have to give the player the benefit of the doubt. And if the player is not doesn't earn his right of the benefit of the doubt, then probably his image is going to hurt him sometimes, and he's going to get put out for situations where it's not always a hit, and then it's their fault as well, in my opinion. So I think if you as a player are a fair player and everyone knows that and the community enforces that, then we don't have those problems. And we have played plenty of matches at high tension where it was not an issue. And as soon, uh, just stopping my rant for a second.
Brilliant. Bonus to the podcast. I love it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna forget it and keep it in there. I think I once just left a pee break in there. Someone told me.
Wow.
Okay, so where was I? Mid rant. I don't know, but the point is that I think, in my opinion, I'm not a good ref. I'm always going to say that because I don't think I see a lot of stuff, and it's really tough for me. I am good in one regard, is that I have sort of authority and I can make decisions. And I think sometimes that's much more important. And so I think that is something we have to emphasize on the ref side as well, that it's not about always making the right decision and seeing everything, because you just can't, but keeping control over the game. And if that is possible, then we also can allow more emotions and more, maybe back and forth, a little bit of shit talking, stuff like that, because we want that in the game. We just don't want it to be contentious, in my opinion. That's my opinion. And I don't like a completely sterile game. I personally am not like a trash talker who gets too emotional, so I can do it in a very easy way without getting too worked up. And some people get really worked up, and then it's always a fine line between it. So, and sometimes you got to step in as a coach. But I think, especially from a viewer's perspective, from a stream watching perspective, it's nice to see some emotions and see people get fired up, but without it impeding the game. And that is so tough. And I feel like maybe that's sort of more, I don't know, maybe that's a bit biased, but like the UK way is more to really clamp down on everything and not allow everything, and everyone needs to raise their hand the second they're out, and if you say something or celebrate to your opponent, you get a blue card. And I'm like, okay, that is just so overcorrecting, in my opinion, because there are so many different situations, and if you don't have the context for it, and if you don't keep that in mind, then the game just gets out of your hand. Because if you give blue cards for someone who gets hit clearly in the back line and he just walks off immediately just because he didn't raise his hand, I don't fucking care. If someone's in the middle and no one knows whether it was a hit and is still part of the game and he didn't raise his hand, that's a blue card for me. But obviously that's hard to enforce as a rule, to say it's the ref discretion and we don't want that. So maybe it's a fine line to say everyone needs to immediately raise their hand, and I'm fine with that. But that is something that sometimes also destroys a game, because then you like the more heated it gets, then stuff like this gets more important, and so we lose a lot of dodgeball for shit like that, and I don't like it. So yeah, I think that's a big rant with not really a conclusion on my part. But yeah, so I think that was what happened in the Barbarians game a little bit, where there was a little bit of back and forth, there was a lot of heat, it was a tight game, the refs lost a little bit of control, the players were very chatty, and then there were some cards given for stuff that might have not been super important, but they thought they had to clamp down, and then it just got a little bit weird, and we lost a lot of a great game. That was an amazing game, really nice dodgeball, heated, emotional, and we just lost a lot of that stuff just because for a lot of stoppage time, and I don't like that. And so going to the final, we obviously had some picked refs, and I was one of them, just a line ref, and we had Sean and Ryan, really experienced head refs, which is amazing, and we made it clear. Sean always, Sean very well, so he makes stuff very clear, and he's also more of a hardliner when it comes to this. And we were like, as little stoppage time as possible, and keep it fair, keep it clean, stuff like that. And still, there was a little bit of stoppage time and a little bit of stoppage time where I felt I was in that huddle and I was like, just move it along, make a decision, move it along. Let's not discuss it. It doesn't matter for everyone. But this, even those tiny stoppage times compared to other games, are, in my opinion, if the game runs smoothly, we don't have to talk 30 seconds about whether some player touched the player. If there was no aggression, if there was no contest, even if the rule is, oh, he touched him for a second, let's let's just forget about it. There was nothing that impeded the game or any malicious intent or something like that. And if there's something that disrupts the game flow, clamp down on it
Yeah.
immediately. Let's not talk about it. Just give out cards, put players in their places, and also let's not discuss with them at that time. But
Yeah. I think that's a good last point, at least from a long rant.
yeah.
Um, that if it doesn't affect the game, let it slide.
Yeah.
Generally, yeah, it's a good point. It's something that I've, at least when reffing retrievers, I've always said that. Like, if a retriever, you don't need to call a retriever fault
Mhm.
if a retriever has made an accidental mistake or something, but it's made absolutely no difference to the
Yeah.
game of dodgeball at all. Like, you're just gonna ruin the spirit of competition by rolling balls over the 5 balls to one side or something for something that didn't matter at all. So it's a good point to, like, should you only penalize things that actually have affected the game? Probably yes, also because it's less stoppages and it promotes the true competition better. So I agree with that. But as a caveat, just want to point out one other point that you made, which is really important. Probably my favorite thing you said is, in an ideal game, the referees would just control the time and start and stop the game, with because the players are refing themselves and they're calling all of their own outs, all of their own issues, maybe line faults and everything, or you see your teammate do something, you call them out. If the referees don't have to speak or make calls in a game of dodgeball, it's very likely that's a great game of dodgeball because every player on court has done their best to keep everything smooth. And arguably, they're all referees themselves. They are aiding in the flow of the game. And that would be when dodgeball becomes truly beautiful
Mhm.
because the referees don't have to stop it. They don't have to say anything. From a spectator point of view, everything's crystal clear because the players are calling themselves out, or they're celebrating when they get hits, because when the game runs smoothly, people get excited and passionate, and you build momentum, or you fight back against the momentum, and that would be my dream form of dodgeball. To be honest, is all players aid the referees and make the game flow as smoothly as possible. It'd be lovely,
Mhm.
lovely if that could happen.
Yeah. So what do we need to improve, or where can we go from here that we get closer to that utopia?
Oh, it's tough, isn't it?
Mhm.
Because if the game gets passionate and you want to win, you're more likely to say something out of passion, or you get heated and you think, oh no, that was a hit, or you get emotional about it. It'll like, that'll never go away. Humans will be passionate about things and they will do things. But it's got to be players considering themselves, one of their jobs is to help the referees run the game as smoothly as possible. Like, I'm pretty sure there was a stoppage in our semi-final to what, like, might have been the very end, um, and the referees huddled in and talked about it. And I could look over at the other end of the court, and I think uh, it was some of the guys on the second win team, and they were looking back at me, being like, "We're hit. We're in the outbox right now. We are hit." They're talking about it, but we're hit. Um, and we were gesturing back and forth, and like I was applauding them for that. Um, at that point in time, like, the players have done it. The players, through fair play, they have said, "Look, we accept this. You got us." But the referees are still talking about it, which I thought was it's a bit of an unnecessary point. But yeah, like the goal would be that those players obviously call the hit and then the stoppage never happens.
But the thing
That's
is,
the golden
I
standard.
was very close to that stoppage, and they weren't. Some of them were discussing whether it was a hit or not, and the players from second win said it was definitely a hit, and others were talking about whether the hit was in time. And then there was a thing: was it in time? What happened? How many players are on each side? And it was like the whole discussion went completely out of whack. And then obviously it was like a completely anticlimactic final 10 minutes of a
Mm-hmm.
amazing game. And if there would have been a decision in the first 10 seconds of that, that either way, either it's a hit, over, and it's done, everyone can celebrate, or it wasn't a hit and we go into overtime, which would have been my preferred way to have it
Drama.
as a spectator. So, and you have to consider that as well as a ref to build drama and suspense. I think it's really important. But like
Yeah.
that was like the perfect example for completely killing the vibe of a whole of a
It was a
whole
huge
venue,
match.
because
Yeah.
that was an impeccable match. It was great, back and forth, come down to the last second, and everyone in the whole venue was into that game, and the atmosphere was amazing. And then it just completely wiveled off for the last 10 minutes because we were just talking about something that no one even knew would happen. So they were sort of making a political compromise in the middle without any facts that were certain. And that is something that we have to get rid of. So if we haven't seen it for sure, then we just have to make decisions that help the game, the play, the atmosphere. And I think that is like maybe an endpoint for me. I don't know if that is possible, but to have some sort of a clause in the rule book. I think, from my opinion, because I've thought about this as well for quite a while, so I'm gonna go on another short rant,
Go on.
hopefully. I think one thing is really important: to have great footage, great cameras. If you have great cameras that aren't like 720p where you can't see shit, then cheating becomes very unpopular if you can really see it.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know there are angles and there are social media sites which do a really horrible and toxic job for the whole community, in my opinion. So I
Same.
think that is the completely wrong way to go about it. But I think there could be an official way where you can challenge stuff and really get rid of that behavior without public shaming. I think that would be one thing, to get rid of those hits where people actually cheat to get a advantage. And I think that's a really tiny point of the whole thing, but we have to get rid of it because a few bad apples in this case can really
Yeah.
spoil the pie. But the other thing is that we always have like the ref's discretion, and I think it's a shit term in most most situations, because it just gives them leeway to make decisions about stuff that they shouldn't make decisions about, in my opinion. But it should give the refs the leeway and their discretion to make judgments and calls that help the game flow and the game. Because at the end of the day, it's important for the players to have a fair and perfectly refed game, yes, but that is one part of it. And the more professional we get, or the more professional we want to get, and the more enjoyable we want dodgeball to not just be for players, but also for us as spectators and for people who watch the stream, we need it to be a fun, exciting, fast-paced game without ref stoppage. So we need to just limit that to a minimum, and some bad decisions are going to be made because of that. But I think it's a necessary thing that we have to just give up, because there won't ever be perfection in refing. And I think, just two more points on the rant. I think a VAR, which we're gonna try in Mexico, I think, and I think at API or some Canada championships, they also tried that as well. I think that is a great thing because, as we saw, we can go way faster than 10 minutes with a VAR in situations where it's really important and where it's important to make the right decision. And that is where we need this, not whether it was a hit or not, but whether the time was over, whether it was a double hit, whether there were some game-changing moments. And I think that is really important. And the third part for me is, especially in a final or a streamed game, which is of some sort of importance, is that we somehow get the ref's decision out to the public as well.
Yeah.
Because
Agree.
that just sucks so bad on the stream and in the spectator stands as well. If there is a 10-minute huddle and then they go out of the huddle and suddenly there are a certain number of players on the game, you have no idea why someone was put out, why the situation is the way it is. And as a spectator, you just cannot follow along, and that just kills the game as well. So I think if we need 1 minute and we discuss it and the decision is made clear to the public, then it's fine. And then it's just a part that we can discuss afterwards, like in other sports where we can say this ref was shit, that decision was wrong. But we don't have to discuss it during the game. Rand over.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Yeah, there's a just the one point there about like VAR stoppages with VAR and mic drafts and stuff like that. Like the Mexican tournament is trying its best to introduce this stuff,
Mhm.
but there's a point I was going to make to well the Anarchy team when I play on it. But I guess I can use this as a platform to say
Yes,
it to maybe lots of people. Um, as players who will be playing in that event, it is also on us to make the game run smoothly.
yes,
And you're making the game run smoothly for a lot of people watching.
yes,
Hopefully, a lot of people watching online and on the TV. So higher than 300 million devices, I think. This gets streamed to. So everyone has a responsibility to make the game great, perfect.
absolutely.
And this is a phenomenal opportunity for us to do that. So help the referees, work with the refs, work with the other team. Please make the games smooth and play out beautiful dodgeball to where we all love it.
Love it. Perfect. Yeah, I can only agree with that. So I think I had a few more things that we could talk about, but I think that's a beautiful ending to this. Unless
Yeah.
there's something you really want to get into, but I think there's really an important point, and for the upcoming um, events and stuff that is gonna come, we'll see how dodgeball develops. But that is a completely integral. I don't know. That was a too big word for me, but that is a very important part for it. So I think my biggest wishes for dodgeball are to make it more professional, maybe get some money involved, but on the other side, keep the spirit we all love. And if we can somehow make that happen, beautiful. Then we did a great job.
Yeah.
And if we lose one for the other, that would be really shit. And I would not want to have anything to do with that. So that's my final thoughts on
Yeah.
that.
We'll do the best to keep it to get both.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Johnny, last point, really last point, because that is something that is personally for me a little bit of interest. So, as you said in the beginning, you're known as Adam's younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, give me a little bit of an insight into your brain. How do you feel as Adam's the younger brother? Because I'm the older brother of the same situation. So, I would just like to know, how do you feel in that situation? How would you like to be known in the dodgeball world?
Well, how would I like to be known? I'd like to be known as Jonny Hill. I'm my own dude.
That
Um,
sounds
but
fair.
it's an interesting. I can tell a short story about this as well. Like when I joined, it's been 15 months between me and my brother's age. That's how much older he is than me. 15 months. That's the longest 15 months of my life. Um, he's always had 15 months ahead of me in everything that we do. He's always just been that little bit faster, a little bit stronger when we were growing up, stuff like that. So, in fact, there's a funny story where Adam was giving his wedding speech as the groom, and then he addressed my older brother Matthew, and then he turned to me and was like, "Johnny, I've enjoyed being better than you at everything my whole life." It was so funny.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's age, it's age. But yeah, but the point is, like when I joined Dodgeball specifically, Adam had been there longer than me. And of course, there'd been other players, lot of players who'd been there longer than me, a lot of very talented players. But Adam in particular had been there longer than me, and he's always been at Dodgeball longer than me. So it always gave me that very easy competitive spark to say, I don't like that you're better than me. I'm going to get better now. And he kept going, other people kept going, and I would keep chasing. Like I didn't like that these people were better than me. Um, just went from Queens through Ballyhack and through Northern Ireland and stuff. And so for a good few years, I just chased these players in terms of ability and was like, why are you better than me? I want to do better. And I do lots, try to learn how to throw harder and catch better and challenge myself at them in training and stuff like that. I'd like to think eventually I have grown into my own player. I have developed my own style. Um, I think that probably is true. So I don't know how many years it's been, a few years maybe, but I think I have graduated from being Adam Hill's younger brother, and now I'm just Jonny Hill. I do my own things. I try my best. Yeah, I'm Jonny Hill.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think that MVP definitely felt quite nice as a little bit of a recognition of Jonny Hill.
Yeah, I hope so. I've got the little award sitting up here in front of me.
Yeah.
Um, it was very nice. Came out of nowhere, but hopefully Jonny Hill. Although there's another funny story is that there's a guy in Northern Ireland who thought it would be funny to like Google the like some top European cloth dodgeballers just
Yeah.
in the Google search bar, and the AI overview which comes up lists Adam Hill, comma Jonny Hill, open brackets, Adam's younger brother, close brackets, and then like Smurf and Josh. Like even Google AI knows that
Even
I'm Adam's
AI.
younger brother.
Wow. And we thought AI could be better than us. It won't. Well, that's a good look into the future. So, Jonny, thank you so much for hopping on. This is the longest we've definitely ever spoken, but I think we're going to continue that in Mexico at some point. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know Adam's younger brother. From now on, Jonny Hill, Mr. MVP, recent winner of UDO championships, and also one of the best paid dodgeball players in the world, rightfully so. So, with that, I'll leave you to your work. Thank you so much for hopping on. And yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much, Stefan, for having me. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to long rants with you again in the future, as I'm sure
definitely.
we can get into many more discussions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much again. It's
Perfect.
really good.
Thank you, man. And to everyone out there, keep throwing those balls. Try not to get caught and take care, everyone.